Tonight I'm going to be wiring this fuse box and this relay to my frame-mounted Lynx R project on my DR. Stick around. If you own an adventure bike, even if you don't, you've pretty much already realized that you're going to need accessories. You're going to need power for things like heated grips, GPSs, your phone, basically just anything because you're going to be on a long ride. So one of the solutions is a fuse box. Basically power distribution protected with fuses. This I got off of eBay. I think it was like 12 bucks. I like it because there's a single pole power going in there, and then this is going to be power to each one of your accessories coming out of it, and then all that you do is just ground it on a common post going back to your battery. I'm going to be using my battery tender port. I have a little pigtail here from a battery tender that I'm actually going to be wiring into a relay, and then using switch power off of the Lynx R fairing. There's actually 2 bullet connectors on there that are going to be triggering the relay, bringing power through my battery tender port, powering this fuse block, which would be powering heated grips, a dual USB port, and a Garmin Zumo XT. So basically what I gotta do is go over to the bike now and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so I got my dash here. If you're looking at any previous episodes here, when I built this, it's going to be sliding right up in here. Still have to drill these holes to mount my RAM mount here for the GPS. Underneath there is going to be the relay. I'm just going to bolt it right in there. And then my fuse box is going to be down here where I can access it underneath, behind the fairing and underneath the dash panel there. So if I blow a fuse, they actually have little LED lights in here that'll light up. I can actually see that and be able to replace it without having to remove any panels. So that's going to be going here, bolted right on there, and then my relay is going to be going up here, up and out of the way. One thing I failed to mention here is these 2 bullet connectors are switched power. Alright, bear with me here. I'm going to try to explain this the best that I can. Right here is my fuse box, here's my relay, my battery, and this is the switch power that I just showed you coming off of the Lynx R fairing. Basically what's happening is switch positive and negative from the headlight is going to charge the coil inside of the relay, pulling the switch from pole 87A to 87. Pin 30 on the relay is going to be power coming off of my battery. This plug right here is my battery tender port plug. Yeah, hot power coming in here. It's going to go nowhere until the headlight's on. Once the headlight's on and this is charged, we're going to be pulling this lever over here, completing the circuit to my fuse box. This is the single pole on the fuse box, going through each one of the fuses, back negative to the battery. So it's a simple switched power on a relay. Yes, I could go switch power these 2 right here straight to the fuse box, but the problem with that is I'm actually robbing wattage off of the headlight circuit here. This way I'm actually pulling power straight from the battery to the fuse panel on a switch, and then the switch is kind of right here inside the relay. Hope that explanation really didn't confuse anyone. It's going to be a lot more clear once I get things wired up, but first I'm going to have to mount the top, well, just at least drill the holes, transfer the holes of the dash to the top of my mount here so I can take the fairing off mount the dash, and then I'll be able to work from basically the inside of the light out to the back of the bike. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Got the 2 holes drilled here. You can see they're a little bit offset. It's gonna be like that because I actually had a mount on there before without this to the Lynx fairing, because that's the original dash. The reason I did this first was because as soon as I loosen these 2 bolts, these are gonna spread and go where they kind of want to, and I just need those 2 as a reference point, so when I bolt the dash back on, I'll be able to bolt the fairing back on with these 2 bolts, and they'll be all lined up and happy, instead of just taking the fairing off, bolting that dash on there, and then being screwed for that distance there. The bottom, there's actually just a full bracket there, so I'm not worried about the bottom at all. I'm just worried about the distance right here between these 2 holes. Fairings off. You can see I have a hell of a lot more room to work here. Dash is on there. It's not mounted, obviously, it's just kind of setting up there, but you can just see, having the fairing off, there's just so much more room I can work, things I know. I just know that this plane right here is pretty much going to be blocked off by the whole headlight assembly. So I'm going to go ahead, just drill some holes, mount some things up, and then I'll check back with you. So I kind of made a funny mistake. I put the relay up here where this wouldn't reach. Now why would I add an extra butt connector in there to make it just long enough to fit there? I had it planned out in my head. I knew it was going on this post, but I just forgot that I needed to keep it low there. But now I have these weatherproof, I guess they call them. They have like little, there's super glue, or not, they have hot glue on the inside of them. So when they shrink around it, there's a little bit of glue that comes out and actually glues the wire in there. You still need to crimp it, but I really haven't soldered things lately. Even at work, I work for Bobcat, and I don't solder much there. I just use these weatherproof connectors, and they seem to hold up pretty damn good. So, not really going to solder much in this project, so don't hate me for that. But if you've ever used these things, you'll kind of understand why. Alright, so we got the relay hooked up to the fuse box here. We just need power coming in from our battery tender here. These 2 are going to the light for switch power. This should not be live as soon as I plug this in and ground it, obviously. But we're going to go ahead and check. We're going to plug this in, well, we're going to wire this in to here. We're going to go. As soon as I plug this in, we've got power going to the relay now, but it's not coming out of here, and I can prove that. Positive here to the negative. Negative here to the, there's no voltage at all. It's dead. If I go here, if I unplug it, we can see that there's voltage here. There you go. 12.6. Man, it's kind of dead because it's been sitting here not on a tender. Alright, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I need to make a common ground. So everything that comes off of here needs to go to a ground. You cannot go to a frame ground because that is where your ignition coil is grounding. It's going to be your AC current. You actually want it to go back to battery in this case because you have your positive negative here. So we need to make it go back to the negative somehow. Well, you're going back in through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the dashboard. On the dashboard in the plastic, since it's an insulator, I'm going to drill a hole and then put a 6mm bolt through there as like a stud, like a common ground stud. So then anything that comes off of these posts, I can put a loop onto that stud, which would be, the bottom one would be this one. So it would be going grounding back to there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, I was actually thinking about bolting it down here as well, because it kind of like, there's a little bit of flex to it. But honestly, the only thing that I need solid is this mount right here, and it is. This can be kind of floppy. Anything over here can be kind of floppy. It's not a big deal. If I see it vibrating a lot, I might take it off and put some two-sided tape behind there to help it. But this is pretty thick, and I think it'll be all right. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put that ground post now. It might be down here, kind of low. How about right here? That looks good. Alright, so I ran my battery tender cable from that side, obviously, so it was underneath the tank there. Kind of looped it around over here, zip tied it to the frame here. Went down around. The plug is right here, is visible. I got to do something a little bit different there so I can unplug it and plug it back in, whatnot. But it's kind of tucked out of the way here. What I'm going to do now is go with a negative wire from my negative terminal here, because this is obviously the positive going to the relay. Negative up to my post here, and then complete that. So the next thing I need to do is, this is all, we have our power going to here, coming out of these 4 posts, and then our ground post here. So what I'm going to do is, I'll go off of this one right here, just because I don't know, I like that one the best. No, we'll go off of this one. We'll go here, up around to my 2 USB port here, and then I'll bring the ground over to here, and then we will put the fairing on, turn the key, and see what happens. Moment of truth. Everything's plugged in. There's a little blue light that should light up here as soon as I turn the key. Look at that. As soon as I turn the key off, power goes away. Mint. Yes, that is awesome. So now I have 3 more ports that I can plug into and have basically switched power. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.